Yes, guys, welcome to the video. So you're joining me today from the beautiful beaches of Koh Samui, and if you ever get a chance to come here, this might be a sign because it is beautiful. So I'm in Thailand for the next 6 weeks on a digital nomad journey. We're going around a little bit of everywhere, but I thought whilst we're just chillaxing this morning before I get to work, I thought this would be a great opportunity to try and give some value and do a quick Q&A, what life is like if you are someone wanting to digital nomad, work from your laptop and travel the world. And if you're interested in marketing or running ads, hopefully this will give some value. Let's get into the questions.
Question number one, what does a real work day look like when you run an agency whilst traveling?
So if you come to somewhere like Thailand, you're coming across like 5 different time zones. So the work hours are flipped. So 9 a.m. kind of when the business world starts back in the UK, which is where all my clients are, that's actually 4 p.m. here. So my work hours are 4 p.m. until about midnight. Okay, so in the daytime, we wake up early, but not like crazy early. I wake up probably around like 9 a.m. And the one thing I love about Thailand, the coffees are so cheap. So we wake up, we have a nice breakfast, we get a good coffee, and then we flip it, you know, where most people would try and, you know, do the fun stuff in the evening. We actually go and do all of the fun stuff first thing in the daytime, you know, and that's better because, you know, right now in the UK, it is the winter, which is the whole reason why I come here. And it's dark all of the time, you know. I think it's good for you. Like if you're somewhere which is sunny, tropical, you wanna be free during the day, so you can make the most of coming to the beach and come to the sun. So we always try to do some form of activity in the sun, and then I'll come back, shower, and lock in for the work day. And I usually go to bed around 1 a.m.
Okay, so this next one's quite funny. So, how do you get clients without sales calls taking over your life?
I'm probably not the best person to answer that. I think you should answer that holistically. You should be in a position where work doesn't take over your life. Work is part of your life. One thing I've really had to work on personally is having like a stop point of like, right, this is when you actually stop work and it needs to be stopped then because there's other things in your life. Having like clear start dates of when you take sales calls and clear stop dates so you can make time for some of the more important things. So it's just implementing that structure. But this is important. Make sure you pre-decide what those set hours are, because if someone wants to take a call with me at 8 p.m, right? Everything in my soul will want to do it because I'm thinking of the money, but I won't do it because I've got those principles and I've seen, you know, what happens if you lose those principles. You're going to pay in other ways. You're going to pay in your relationships. You're going to pay in your experiences, and it's not worth it because that's the whole reason we're actually trying to do everything, right? I know you want to have this agency to make money, but using that money to build your experiences, have better day-in options, and do more fun stuff. So always kind of prioritize that. Otherwise, what is the point?
So question number 3, what's the biggest mistake people make trying to start an agency when abroad?
So digital nomading, right, is obviously the purpose of why most people want to learn digital skills. They like the idea of working from anywhere in the world. In my experience, it's something that you should definitely do and strive to do, but don't do it for too long periods of time. Like, you can kind of maintain what you're doing if you want to do digital nomading. So I've come to Thailand for the first 2 months of the year, but it's not optimal for growing. You know, if your goal is to like really lock in and scale what you're doing, then I don't think you can do that with the stress of traveling around, hotel hopping, and going to all these other places where, of course, there are distractions. You know, a big chunk of my time here, I want to be spent on the beach. I don't necessarily want to be doing it, strategizing about the next step. So just understand your growth periods and you know, make sure there's a time and a place for everything. If you want to seriously scale what you're doing and you're at the very beginning of your journey, use that money that you would be spending to come here and put it into growing the business. And when the business is at a point where things are a bit more fluid and you got that passive income from your retained clients, which you've grafted your ass off, you know, locked at home in your bedroom doing first, that's when you digital nomad. So just like understand that, yes, the reason we want to do this is to learn a digital skill and travel the world, but don't do it too early. You're better off using that money and pumping it back into the business to make everything more smooth, and then you will not have to work as much. You can enjoy things more when you do decide to do it.
Next question, how much money do you actually save before going nomad?
I think it's less about money saved. I think it's more about what your actual lifestyle is. So because obviously we live like in a really nice apartment in the middle of Manchester, right? Probably one of the more bougier places to live. So when we want to go in digital nomad, we still have to pay rent, which is like a couple of grand. So that's not even factored into the cost. And then obviously, you know, it's really important for me that we stay in a good hotel. for a couple of reasons. Like when I'm off working, like I'm going to leave my girlfriend who I brought with me out on top of that. And if you're bringing people with you, you need to pay for them too, right? Because, you know, I can't expect, my girlfriend doesn't do like a digital skill. She does obviously content and everything, which is awesome. But when you want to bring someone with you, you're stripping them of being able to work. So you should pay for it, right? Because if it wasn't for you, they would be able to work. So I do think that. So you got the cost of how much you're paying for rent. If you want to bring people with you, and then investing in like a good hotel or something is important, because if you're bringing someone with you, they're going to need something to do in the evenings whilst you're not around. And you're going to need somewhere with good Wi-Fi. Like some of these places, especially in like Thailand, the Wi-Fi is not going to be that good. So you need to make sure you're picking the right places, and also you have good word backdrops. I would always suggest like you need at least 5K in the bank, just sat there in case anything goes crazy wrong. But it's more about your income streams. You know, if you're in a position where you can create recurring revenue every single month, then, and you decide to spend that, then that's fine. There's different times in life when you should be focusing on saving and enjoying. So a digital nomading period for you, you're not going to save as much money, but you're buying experiences. So focus more on the recurring revenue. If you're in a position where I wouldn't recommend digital nomading unless you're making at least £3,500 a month on autopilot, ideally around the £5,000 mark. So just to give you some insight on how much this trip costs. So me and my girlfriend have come away for, I think it's going to be close to about 6 weeks at the start of the year. We're going to Bangkok, Koh Samui for 2 weeks, Koh Tao, Krabi, Abu Dhabi and Athens. Okay, so that's a lot of places. We're staying in like not like the creme de la creme hotels, but nice hotels. We're going around like 3 stars or hopping in hostels. And then obviously I've got the rent back home to pay whilst we're out and about. And then obviously, you know, I pay for like all of their living expenses, because as I mentioned, I've stripped my girlfriend away from essentially being able to work. So it's unfair for me to get her to pay for anything, even though, you know, in exchange, she it's not like I'm just giving her money. She does things for me. She helps me. She's filming me with these YouTube videos. She helps with my content and does a lot of stuff for my agency as well. But this trip, when you total in all the flights and everything, you're looking at close to 10 grand. So that's how much you paid. But it's worth it. You know, at the end of the day, what are you going to remember? You're going to remember how much money you got in the bank, or you're going to remember, you know, that once in a lifetime trip that you did.
How do you stay disciplined when you're in places like Thailand, in the sun and distractions all around you?
Yeah, there is more distractions here. That's just the bottom line. And like I said, I think understanding that when I come here, right, I'm not in aggressive growth periods. Like I'm happy almost maintaining what I'm doing. And I know when I come back, I can lock in a bit more. So I factor in that there are more distractions here, and I'm okay with me dabbling into them. But you just have to be very disciplined with the hours that you need to work. You know, you need to pre-decide your structure, and nothing is going to break that structure no matter what you do. You know, one of the things that we're going to miss out on, okay, it's my girlfriend's first time coming here. And I know one of the things people are going to ask when she comes home is, have you been to the Phi Phi Islands, right? I've already been, and I know it takes a whole day to go there, and we're not going to go. You know, because I refuse to let any of my enjoyment time, my leisure time, actually eat into the time where I need to serve my clients between the hours of 4 p.m. and midnight. So I would just prioritize that first. And it's about not cheating the game. You know, if you're in a position where you're able to do the things that I'm doing, the reason you're able to do that is because of your marketing agency, because you learn how to run ads. So the second you start disrespecting that, trust me, the universe has got a funny way of taking those things away from you. So just be loyal to the game. All the game asks for you is hours, hard work and dedication. And if you're prepared to do that in the right vehicle, then you can have an amazing life. But the second you start disrespecting it, skipping out on the things that you know you shouldn't be doing because you want to go fuck about, you can lose it all.
On that one, let's touch on the next question. If you had to start your agency again tomorrow, what is the thing you'd focus on first?
If I was to start the agency again tomorrow, I was quite hard-headed when I started. You know, I came from a sport background. My initial plan was to try to be a professional tennis player, which obviously went amazingly well. And the problem that sport teaches you is that the harder you work, then that's where the results come. And in business and in marketing, unfortunately, it's just not like that. Like, I was so arrogant in a sense because I thought hard work and like me learning and watching YouTube videos and all these things, that's going to get me to where I want to be. And it did, But it took me like 3 years to kind of really start making serious progress. Like, what you're better off doing is investing in mentors, invest in someone that's been there, done what you want to do, and go and pay him and get the answers from him. Because that is the secret. That's what the high level people do. When I was around my friends from back home, everyone takes the piss out of you for wanting to buy a mentor or something like that. Like, oh, that's a waste of money. It's all on YouTube. When you start becoming around people that are surpassing that 10K a month, right? The majority of these people have invested in online trainings and online courses. So if I would have just paid, a month's worth of my wages at the start to get the answers, I probably could have got the progress of what I did in 3 years in 6 months, because somebody would have gave me a roadmap.
So how long did it really take you before you felt like your income was really stable and you could relax a lot more in life?
It really depends on what you want to do. So one of the things that I really delayed doing was I delayed how soon I went all in. And you see a lot of stuff online of people saying like, go all in, quit your job and do all these things. I was in quite a fortunate position because I was tennis coaching alongside running an agency. Like, I didn't actually leave tennis coaching, which granted I was doing part-time for a couple of times a week in the evening. I didn't leave that until I was actually making 10K a month combined from tennis and my marketing. And I was making 3K a month from tennis coaching alone. So I was already doing like all right money. So I really waited until I was doing, 6 figures until I quit that job, because I had really good time management skills. But in terms of like, when I felt comfortable, I always knew like my marketing was going to pay me more than my tennis. I knew that from probably 6 months of being in. But it depends on the lifestyle that you want to live. For me, like, I was watching all like these red pill videos, all the Andrew Tate videos, and that stuff pretty much ingrains in you. There's a lot of negatives, and I experienced if I went too extreme into that. But there are a lot of positives. Like, all those videos pretty much say you're pretty much worth nothing as a man if you're not making 6 figures. So if I had to work 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 jobs and work all day doing my marketing agency and then work all evening doing my tennis coaching to make 6 figures and, be that version of myself where I've ticked that box of I'm a 6-figure man, I'm in the top percent, I'm in the top 10%, now I deserve all these girls to maintain my identity, then I was prepared to do that. And I got an expensive lifestyle. Like I said, like I've just dropped 10 grand taking me and my girlfriend to Thailand. So maybe even for the first time in November and December last year, that was when I felt like, right, this is kind of running on autopilot. It was either 25 or 30K a month in December, and I didn't even actively work on my agency. I just created systems and I had my employees doing everything. I set things up so well. I was all working on autopilot. I spent all my time building my course. So like, yeah, I would say only recently to the lifestyle level that I actually want to live. Now do I feel like, okay, I'm good.
Okay, last question. If someone is on the fence about starting a marketing agency or getting into marketing, what advice would you give them?
You need to jump. It will feel extremely uncomfortable. And if you're anything like me, I started doing this properly when I was 25. That's quite late. You're supposed to have your life together at 25, right? I was in a lot of debt at 25 and I didn't know what I wanted to do. And maybe you're older than 25, or if you're younger than that, trust me, you're in a luxury, because society puts all this pressure on you to have everything figured out. And we almost feel like, if you're in a good job and you're advanced in that job, stick with that, because if you just stick with it for a few more years, then you're going to be on more money and everything, and you need to jump. The only way that I was able to learn marketing, right, was to buy an online course and invest in a mentorship. And the people that you're probably going to be around right now, most of these people do under 10K a month, which means these people, it's unnormal for them to invest in online trainings. It's unnormal for them to invest in mentorships. And you're going to have to be the person that breaks that chain. Like, don't be arrogant like I was and try and figure this out by yourself. Go straight to the good bit, invest in stuff, be okay with burning money, right? Throwing money in the dark on, is this mentorship going to be worth it? Is this course going to be good? Because that's how the guys that are learning these skills, that's what they do. All right. So I would just go and start. And, speed is an asset, because the sooner you start something, and even if it goes wrong, the sooner you make mistakes, the sooner you can start making progress, and the sooner you're going to be able to get to where you want to be. You thinking about it, you being on the fence, it serves you no purpose. I think we have ideas for a reason. If you've had this inkling That's an instinct telling you that you're not in the right thing. If you're curious about something, go and act on it and go and take big actions. Because the sooner you take these big actions, that's when you can start taking big results. And with how easy it is now, I mean, it's so much easier now than when I started, with all these AI tools here to help you. And, you know, all these, there are some good online trainings, you know, mine it genuinely is really good. Mine is exactly what I do to run my agency. If you go and find the answers instead of freestyling it and use these AI tools, you can make progress a lot faster than you think, and you're probably not as far away as you think. But the first thing you're gonna need to do is jump and be brave. But I think that's good. Hopefully you took some value there, guys. Big thank you for watching. Let's go home.